Welcome back, everybody, to the Easy Spotlight podcast. We're back again. New guest on the show today, my brother Sorrell. Sorrell, how you doing today?
I'm good, bro. How's things with you? You all right?
It's brilliant. You gotta tell me that Vancouver weather's better than Denver this weekend because it's terrible here.
Mate, it's picking up here. It's probably like 5-6 degrees, but it's still super cold, man. Super cold.
Nothing compared to Miami.
Nah, nothing compared to Miami, bro. Yeah, nah, that was a nice little trip there. Yeah, I wish I could go back already, man. It's too cold here, honestly.
You were saying that felt like home. Was that the vibe?
It did, man. Yeah. It was just a really nice place, like tropical weather, just like welcoming people. Yeah, I had a really good time there. It was only for like 5 days, but yeah, definitely going there again soon.
Amazing. So we're going to get into a bit of your history, a bit of what you're doing now, Motohut, and so I just want to start with kind of the basics for everybody and getting to know you a little bit and how this guy called Sorrell from Nottingham ends up in Vancouver and has a motorbike gear shop. So just give us some of the background behind how did you start to essentially come to Canada and then move into the whole motorbike world.
Yeah. It's a bit of a long one and it's kind of random, but I'll try and break it down. So yeah, before Canada, I went to Australia. I did a year there. Just as kind of like just to kind of change up and see what else is going on. Obviously from Nottingham, lived there most of my life, and then decided to try Australia out. I went there for a year, and that was dope. I had a great time, but like the visas and stuff, you only can do like a working holiday for like a year in Australia, and then you can do a second year, but you'd have to do like farm work and stuff, and I wasn't really on that, so went back home to the UK for a bit, kind of thought about what was next. And then, Canada's in the Commonwealth. You get a working holiday visa there. So I was like, fix it up. Let's go. Let's see what it's about. So that's how I ended up in Canada.
Nice. So just to kind of go back a little bit, because I think a lot of people go through those routes of like, especially from England, like wanting to explore different places. And to kind of break it down for you, we first met in college, and you're probably let's give yourself like you're probably one of the best dressed people I know, but you're also just in terms of the way you carry yourself is different, right?
Yeah.
You're like, and I'm going to try and want to poke in there and figure out a little bit of why. Why is it something that you? Because when I met you in college, there's a lot of different people. Everyone's the same age. Everyone's coming in. There's things,
Yeah.
and there's, you know, you stood out. You stood out as somebody who's really interested in high fashion at a young age. You were working in retail. I know you worked for Burberry, Armani, Paul Smith, and when you went away, you went and did that in other countries too. And
Yeah.
so, you know, why do you think that you've always carried yourself a little differently to everyone else?
Yeah. I think like it's something that I've always kind of cared about. I feel like clothing's kind of like a way of expressing yourself like visually without even encountering the person. It's like the first thing you see. Um, and like my brother as well, he was always on that kind of thing. And, he's 6 years older. So, when you got a big brother, like you kind of want to aspire a little bit to be like them. And I've always just had a bit of like it's just been my thing. And like you say, I've been working in retail since I was like, man, 16, 17, and kind of moved up in the ranks with different brands there. So I think like it was just really a way of like expressing myself. Like, I think ultimately.
Because that one, I'm kind of dipping and dopping all over the place at the start of this podcast, but it's
No.
because I got so much going on in my brain. So then, when you're thinking, okay, I've been in Nottingham for a long time now, and you're looking for somewhere else, why move? Why move to a different country? Why not move to London? Because I feel like that's
Yeah.
usually the typical progression for anybody from Nottingham or up north, or especially interested in fashion or these different areas. You move to the Mecca. Why a different country?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. it was on my mind, like I was thinking about it. But then with Paul Smith, they actually kind of gave me a transfer. They were opening a flagship store in Melbourne, and I kind of caught light of that. So I reached out to the head office and I was like, oh, potentially there's a way I can get a transfer over there. So that's kind of how that happened. But also, like, a bit deeper, I think maybe I was just looking for something different. Like, because I've been in the same place my whole life, like, sometimes it's hard for you to kind of get a different perspective on things, or like, because even though, you're suggesting like London, Nottingham and London, it's still in the UK, so there's still going to be that core kind of fundamental thing there. And I'll be honest, I just got a little bit over it with a lot of the stuff that went on at the time in the UK. Like, just like kind of the circle that I was kind of in and just where my mindset was. It was just like I was ready to leave, man. Like, um I won't try and go too far off things, but like I went to college review, right? And then obviously failed college because everybody went on to second year, but not me. Like, and then went to uni, dropped out of uni, and I was just kind of like at this place in my life where I'm like, right, I'm following the path that I should be and what everybody's recommending me to do, and nothing's going right. And like, I was just looking for like any escape really to just, yeah, I guess the word escape might not be ideal, but it was more like I just needed something new. I just wanted to redefine myself, honestly. Like, sounds cliche, but absolute, yeah.
I mean, that's an honest answer, an honest reflection. A lot of people would be probably afraid to say that, but how many people probably go through a system that they're like, this just doesn't vibe with me. Why is it not clicking with what how I am or where my talents lay? You know. So
Yeah.
so what perspective did moving to Melbourne give you?
You know what? It was cool because it's like, there's just so many different elements over there. Like, obviously, it's an English speaking place as well. So, like, it was easy to integrate into the society. But, like, there's a lot of, like, cultural differences and, like, things maybe the people over there kind of value or do that's a little bit kind of different to what we did. And also, like, the biggest thing is when you go to, like, a different city or a different country and you don't know anybody and you don't know, anything really about it, it's like you're learning again, but you're learning by yourself, and you just really like you get to like just pick up, things that you want, I guess. Like, it's, if that makes sense in a way.
Absolutely. I think moving to any country for me it was America. You're gonna, you know, while at things, especially in same English speaking countries, you think are going to be the same. There's differences, right? And that kind of
Yeah.
shapes you, start shaping your perspective. So when you were leaving Melbourne, was that a sad experience because you're like, farm work isn't for me. So I know I've got to move somewhere else, or was it
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm ready for a new adventure now?
They cut that out as well. They stopped doing that now. So for anybody who wants to go to Australia and do 2 years, you can do it without like picking cherries or doing whatever they make you do over there. But yeah, to answer that question, I guess like I was a little bit sad, but I was like, I'm ready for the new chapter. Like, I was like mentally prepared. I grew a lot, like, honestly, like just going somewhere else and like experiencing all these things um with not many people to like depend on and stuff is like, yeah, it's different. You know it, man. You went to the US and you kind of went through the same thing as me. So it's like you grow a lot. Like, you grow a lot. Uh,
100%. That being like self-reliant, no family around, no friends you grew up around with. It's like, okay, everything's on me now. It's a
yeah.
great exercise in self-sufficiency, should I say. So when you've left Melbourne, you come back to Nottingham first, or you go straight to Canada? How does that kind of work? And at the time, what jobs are you now kind of moving from? Are you got you're like, I'm still with Paul Smith, or okay, it's time to explore, look for new different things.
Yeah. So at that time, yeah, what was it? I did 6 months with Paul Smith, helped open that store, and then Australia has another weird thing where when you're on the working holiday visa, you only can work for one company for 6 months at a time. But anyway, so I did 6 months at Paul Smith and then 6 months at Armani. And yeah, so when I came back to the UK, I was in the process of kind of, applying for the visas in Canada, kind of planting my feet. Obviously, I needed to save up a little bit. So I got a job at Flannels. And for those of you who don't know, like Flannels, it's just like a Selfridges, or just basically like a multi-brand designer store. So they just sold like all the luxury brands in one place. It was the spot in Nottingham for sure. So, so yeah, just worked there, and then kind of was working on, getting myself to Canada with a little bit of cash in my pocket.
Yeah. And I like giving all this context and background of you kind of trying to figure out where you want to live, what you want to do, and you know all the thought processes that are going in there. Because like when we shift to Canada and where you are now, it's it's interesting to understand the journey that you've been on to kind of get where you are today, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of trippy when I look back on it, because like it's kind of chaotic, but like organized in a way. Like it just kind of, things just work out. But at the time, you would have been like, "Whoa, what is this guy doing? Like he's there, he's here." Like it's, yeah, weird time.
It's funny looking back, and I bet everybody around in the late 20s probably feels that way in a little bit, unless they just know exactly what they want to do. But you're trying different things, you're trying to piece the puzzles together. It's only when you kind of a little bit settled that you can look back and say, "Hey, that's kind of it's kind of the journey I took is kind of all over the place." Anyway, so you moved to Canada, and this is where I'm starting to get really interested because you work for Ducati, BMW for a bit, but you also kind of go into front end developing, if
Yeah,
I'm right. And so for me, that seems such a like right turn from everything else you've been doing. Or is that
that
not
is all, mate.
is that not the case? So you're always kind of interested in that stuff too, or when you go to Canada and you're looking for your first new thing, where were you at then?
Yeah, yeah. So I moved here in like 2017, and yeah, I kind of did the retail thing again, just leaned on that because like I had loads of experience in it. I think I was working at Burberry for a bit first, but yeah, the programming came down the line like a year or so later, and at the time it was just before like the big tech bubble. So like a few of my mates here were programmers, and they were like just earning great money and just saying, how it is. And I did some introductory courses, and I kind of liked it. Like I was a bit of a gamer when I was younger as well, so it's kind of like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Um, so yeah, I decided to do like a bit of like a coding school, and I went to the program for like a year here in Vancouver.
And you did that carry on through you working at you in retail, or when did you stop, or is that continuing today? Or and when did you start working at Ducati and all of that kind of
Yeah,
combined?
yeah. So the opportunity at Ducati came around the same time, and I thought it was something new. So I ended up trying that out. Like I'd sell like bikes, clothing, or parts, whatever needed to be done. I learned kind of the ins and outs of like how a dealership works, and motorcycle dealerships work just like car dealerships. Honestly, it's the same sort of thing. But without delving too hard into that, I'll go back to the programming thing. Yeah, so like I did programming at the same time. So I was like working full time, and then school like 4 days a week. And that was kind of a maybe should I say humbling experience. It was weird because yeah, I was working hard, man. I was a bit of a mute for like a year, like just going through the motions.
And at that time, how do you can you remember how you were feeling about that? Like you said, you're working hard. What was kind of your mindset about where you were going? Did you have a clear direction, or you're like, I just gotta get my keep my head to the ground, keep kind of working at this thing, and it's going to piece together. Like, where did you see your future at that time when you're in it all?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. Um, I think I had the right mindset. Things started to change then. Like I never, even though like working throughout retail, like all of those jobs and stuff, like I never really focused on like trying to move up in the ranks or like, have like a clear kind of vision. And hence why I was dotting around from country to country. Um, so like I really planted my feet here, and then with that at that time, I was like, yeah, like I know this is what it takes. Like I can't remember my age; I was probably about 23 or 24, but I was like, this is what I need to do. I enjoy programming, and I'm working. I'm self sufficient. I got all my things, you know. Um, so my mindset was that's when it was starting to really kind of mature and dial in.
So that's really interesting. So you kind of maturing, you're working through it. You're like, okay, we'll get some progression. And so you said you went to Vancouver in 2017. So this today you've been there for 7 years now, right? Wow. I thought it was way less than that, but
Wow.
you you're essentially a native.
I thought you.
Um, and and so to jump forward here, so I'm going to bring it forward a bit more to the present day. Today, you're the owner of Motohut, which is a motorcycle gear store. Everything from fashion to safety to every piece of part of that the motorcycle community in the world. When did that start? When did you even get interested in motorcycles? Was that growing up, or was that come to you in Canada and Vancouver?
Yeah, so I used to ride dirt bikes when I was younger, like back home, and I always had such a good time doing that. And then when I moved out here and worked at the shop, it kind of like gave me a way better insight into that world, like riding street bikes and big bikes. It was super cool, and yeah, I think I got really interested in just like the community feel. Like motorcycling is built on like passion. It's not like a necessity like a car. So like people who will come into the store and buy things like you could see the passion ooze off them, and it was always just like great conversation. It was way different to like luxury retail, like selling someone like a Burberry scarf versus selling someone like a new motorbike. Like it's like just so two polar opposites. Yeah, they both get enjoyment, but like it's just a different process. Um, so yeah, like I had the passion definitely when I was younger, and then I just learned so much. Like I was managing two stores for like the clothing section, um, and it was a really cool, really great business. But I just felt kind of restricted in the dealership, and like I noticed a lot of things that they were kind of weren't really working on too well, and yeah, dealer. I'm not a huge fan of dealerships. I don't know if you've ever been to a car dealership or a motorcycle dealership, but they have this kind of corporate, kind of like predictable way about them. Um, so my vision is to kind of create more of like a community kind of hub, like a boutique kind of thing where you come in, you grab a coffee, we sit down, we chop it up. Like it's not necessarily have to buy anything. It's just being there, giving each other information. Like that's what I kind of wanted to do,
I love
honestly.
that. And I think I nearly worked at a dealership when I first graduated college because you're like trying to get a job in America. There's so many restrictions when you graduate uni. You have to be like, has to be related to your degree and somehow. And so mine being business was like a stretch. And I went and did like a couple of weeks at some dealerships, and it would have been an interesting career for me to work at a car dealership. Let's put it that way. But
Yeah.
it was very like rigid. You learn this sales process, and you just follow this sales process, and you go through the ranks. So I can see how it evolving into what you actually want to do. So explain what Moto Hut is today and how you kind of started. Where you said, okay, I'm going to make the jump. I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to open up my own store. How did that happen?
Yeah, so Motorhut basically is like we sell like all kind of like motorcycle apparel, from helmets, jackets, gloves, boots, and we sell like all the premium brands. So like, you know, Shoei, AGV, just I feel these are big brands anyway. Like if you were to go to any moto store, you'd see them. But yeah, like sorry, I kind of got sidetracked there. So you what? Do you mind
Just
just?
going through what is Motohut, what do you sell, and how did you kind of get to the point where you first were like, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to open up my own motorbike store, motorcycle apparel store.
Yeah, yeah. So I basically, yeah, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but it's kind of scary. You don't know how to do it. Like you've got to, you've got to buy a lot of inventory. You got to find a store. You got to, like first time in business, it's kind of wild. So I guess I started from ground zero. I was like, okay, I need money. So yeah, I was kind of like looking through, and like I got sponsored by the government of Canada to do this business idea. It was a bit of a long process, but you have to present like, financials, projections, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. So once that all went through and I got the money, I realized like, oh, okay, like this is actually real. So now I can actually do this. Um, and then yeah, so I started like carefully kind of choosing the brands that I liked. I brought in a lot of new brands. Most of the brands are European that I sell. Um, and yeah, got in contact with the suppliers, and then just started bringing in product. And I found a space downtown Vancouver that I have. It's like a cool little showroom here. Um, and this started back in November of last year. So still relatively new, but we're going strong. We're going strong.
What gave you the confidence to jump? Because a lot of people will say, I want to own my own business, I want to open my own thing, but there'll be like insecurities regarding, can they actually do it? Oh, if I stop my job now, I'm not going to have any money coming in. What if it doesn't work? I'm going to go back so many years. What gave you the confidence to say, yes, I can go forward and take this step? Were you kind of doing this while you were working your job on the side? Had you stopped working and were just full focused on opening Motorhut? Where was your process, your mind at that time?
Yeah, well, honestly, I feel like I spotted a gap in the market. So like, fortunately, that programming paid off because like it's the website where I do a lot of the business, and I invest a lot of time on the website. Um, so I kind of did let this brew for like 6 or 7 months and like really planned it out. Obviously, if you go through like a funding process with the government, they're not just going to hand you money. Like it has to be like really dialed in. Um, so like I let this idea just kind of stew over time, and like that gave me more and more confidence to go for it. Um, I I think like I the main thing was the customers, like the people that I would meet. It were always cool characters, and it was always mostly great interactions, and meaningful interactions. And that is like a big one for me. Like it's not really about the money at the end of the day. It's about like just facilitating a great experience and me having a good experience too. Yeah, sure, I'm working, but what you know what I mean? Like reciprocate both ways. So yeah, like it was just the idea that gave me the confidence. Like I kind of feel like I played on all my strengths. With the website and all my experience in retail, like dealing face to face with people, really kind of uh, gave me confidence too. So I
It's
guess
cool. It's like a 10,000 foot view. You can see how every step you've taken is kind of pieced together in Motorhut, your retail, your front end developing, your perspectives from England, from Melbourne, the product that you put into your store, all kind of culminating in one. And I love how you keep going back to community. Obviously, a big community advocate, thinking that's going to be,
yeah,
the core for anybody living a good life, regardless of what you do. If you have a strong community, you are going to be, you're going to enjoy your days
yeah,
more than that. And I just want to read your community statement from your website, if that's all
yeah,
right,
yeah, of
because
course, yeah,
it kind of goes to your core. So it's like, being riders ourselves, we recognize the need for a place where people could get all of their motorcycle gear in one convenient place. without compromising style, comfort, functionality, and safety. This is what led to the creation of Motorhut. So, as you said before, you wanted that one place for everything. And I think what's really interesting about your business is that it could be completely online when I'm looking at it. You ship globally, you ship US, you ship Canada.
Yeah,
You could do everything online, but you have a showroom. You have a hub. And so is that solely down to that reason of I wanted a community, I want a place where people can come in and speak?
exactly. You're totally right. When you're doing business online, like it seems like that's the dream for everyone these days. Like, oh, I want an online business. I want to live in Bali and do drop shipping or whatever it is. But like, you know, I feel like that's short term and it's overplayed. Like with businesses these days, we're going back to that kind of age of, you want to go in and if you can meet the owner of the business and kind of have, a chat, like that's even better. Like you want to get an idea about what's going on. And I've noticed there's been a bit of a renaissance in supporting small businesses. And yeah, like just to kind of like lean onto that kind of community kind of feel. Like I wouldn't want to do it without the showroom. That's what really plays into it because as we grow, like showroom's going to get bigger, and like I've got some cool ideas down the line as well. So yeah, definitely the showroom is important.
That's so cool. And you touched on it before already, but talking about the motorcycle community and how because it's not a necessity, there's a kind of passion that goes into everything. The people that are coming into store and the way they interact outside the shop. So how is that for you? Like you being a member of that community when you're not working at Motor Hut, but just riding bikes around Vancouver.
Yeah,
How would you explain that community to someone who's not in it?
dude, great question. Yeah, I think riding is the best thing ever. The community's cool. Like there's certain funny things that happen. Like if you're riding and you ride past another rider, like you give them kind of like the fingers, like yo, what up? Like you recognize each other. I think there's like a certain acknowledgement of like danger as well, which is another reason maybe why people kind of are so friendly in a weird way. Like you guys recognize, oh, there's a little bit of a layer of safety in this, and like we're both doing it, and we're kind of stepping into that realm together. So salute. But yeah, like it's just a cool community. Like honestly, motorcycle riding is like just so liberating. Like, and it's a way of like just freeing the mind. Like whenever I'm kind of getting stressed out of whatever it is, I'll just hop on the bike, go for a little 20-30 minute ride, and like I'm just feeling rejuvenated, feeling different. It's like a form of meditation almost. Yeah.
I think a lot of people will, love has an escape or a passion, and I think the way you describe that is I'd say a feeling of like liberation. You're on your bike and you're free, or
Yeah.
almost, and you're surrounded by those others. And I just want to touch on quickly the bikes itself because I know you know, you still have the scrambler,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you also have the cake bike that where it's moving, everything's becoming electric now. I just because a lot of people here were like, especially in Denver and whatnot, everyone, I want to ride bikes, I want, but never actually do it. So I just want you to kind of explain that feeling of maybe riding a scrambler versus riding a cake and an electric bike, because they seem to be like a Tesla version where it's like you
Yeah,
you disappear.
just rev and go. Yeah. You know, electric bikes, they're slowly making their way into the kind of motorcycle market. Um, but there's a few things that people worry about. For example, like they're quiet, right? So like half the thing with like motorcycles is, I know everybody will laugh when I say this, but it's like they're loud, but like a lot of them are loud for a reason. Like it's like you're not as visible when you're on a motorcycle, so like it's good to let people know that you're there, not obnoxiously, but like just sonically. But like yeah, electric motorcycles are making their way in, but they've still got ways to go for sure. I think the guys who have the electric bikes right now are like the early adopters, the enthusiasts. Um, and yeah, like the thing about motorcycle riding is there's so many different kind of realms. There's like you can ride off road, you can ride on the street, you can ride sport bikes on the track, you know. There's so many different kind of styles that can suit people, and also like more and more people are getting into riding. Like I'm seeing more younger people get into riding, seeing more girls getting into riding, which is dope. It's like there's more riding schools that are opening up to teach people kind of like the basics. We have a lot of partnerships with them here. Um, yeah, it's becoming a lot more inviting. Like typically motorcycling used to be like, Harley dude, big guy, like big beard. That was the kind of thing people would think about when you'd say motorcycle. But it's definitely evolving, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
That safety thing is something I never thought about before, but now you said it, it's like, of course, right? You're on this powerful machine and it's silent.
Yeah.
And so the louder is almost better. I've never gone there. That's interesting. So going back to your business, it's been open since last November, you said, or
Last
a
November.
year in November, year and a half, or
Oh, well, yeah, sorry, yeah, about a year and a half. Yeah,
yeah,
so
year and a half. So over that time, what have been some of the challenges? And opening your own business funded by the government and having your own store. What have been some of the main friction points?
yeah, that's another good question. There's so many. Um, I think like being a first time business owner, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. Like that's just it. Like, and it's just learning as you go. And it's the biggest thing for me right now is mindset. Like whenever I run into a problem, instead of dwelling on it, we fix it and then we learn from our mistake. Like that's the ultimate kind of thing. But just some general problems is like, you know, you're pretty much doing everything by yourself. So you're doing all the online marketing, you're doing all the email replies, you're taking the phone calls, you're being in the showroom, you're receiving the stock, you're speaking to your suppliers. Like, there's just like a lot to do. And I'll be honest, like the past 2 years have been full on, but like, I'll be honest, I love it too. Like, I absolutely love it. And that is some days are better than others, but um, yeah, like there's, you're going to make some financial mistakes and you're going to learn from it. But the key thing in business is just kind of keep your head up and just roll with the punches. That's kind of how I look at it.
And from the mindset perspective, because you leveraging that as one of the key points in order to continue going. You as a person, I've always known you to be very positive. You speak positively. You never really talk about anything in a negative light, and that's carrying into your business. Why do you think you're so positive? What keeps you front facing and optimistic?
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't know. Why am I so positive? Because what's the opposite? Like be sad or be negative. Of course, I know. Some people. It's hard to. I just try not to dwell on things. I try to just like learn from them and just keep going. Like and that's kind of just really 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 helped me. I'm not
You,
sure about the positive thing. I'll think about that and get back to
yeah,
you.
you kind of rolling with the punches. I kind of like I'm trying to find the right word. Is it the paradox? The blend between someone who is very ambitious, someone who wants to achieve a lot in life, but is able to kind of show a relaxed face, and take everything so serious in life that it g- goes into everything, And I think the people who are able to kind of be ambitious, be excited about things, be driven, but at the same time show that balance, ultimately succeed in one way or another. That's what I see in you as anyway.
Yeah. Maybe it's kind of reflecting back. Maybe it's because I've had a lot of L's in life, man. Like everybody, like whatever, like failing college or failing uni, like there's been some like darker times, but like maybe that set me up for this, like because I'm what 28 now, so like that kind of I've got quite a bit of life experience with that, so maybe that kind of plays into it, kind of the positive attitude and the mindset, but also just really believing in the idea as well. Like I really know like this is something great, and like even the first year I did like twice as much as I thought I would in like sales figures and numbers and stuff. Like yeah, I think it's mainly life experiences that have kind of set me up for
That's
that.
cool, and you keep going back, whether you know it or not, but to that foundation of like why you do this, the idea, the community, being part of it. And I think that's important for people to hear who are pursuing their own things. That strong why, you know, is going to continue to push you. And I have another question, because the last 2 years you say everything relies on you. You are everything in this business. If there was to be one thing that someone out on the outside would come in and help you with, that would make your life easier, or kind of push you, what would that be in your business?
Wow, another great question. I've been thinking about this. So it's getting to that point. Like right now, I've got some contracting. Like I've got someone who helps with social media. I've got someone who helps with inventory online, bookkeeping, accounting, all the rest of it. I've not really got any full-time employees yet. But honestly, I would just want somebody who could kind of just shadow me. Like I just want someone super driven who could shadow me. Like I might not be able to pay like the big dogs can, but like the amount of experience and insight you will get will like pay dividends later on. And maybe that speaks to a lot of people, you know, who are coming out of uni or just doing whatever, like looking for a new career. Like maybe it's worth not getting paid as much, but like learning more from like a small business, or like that sort of kind of realm.
Absolutely. I think someone who wants to almost follow your footsteps in owning their own thing and has the same values as you about that community, you're going to learn probably 10 years of experience in your environment than in a big corporate environment where you're focused on that one little
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So over those 2 years, you've had a lot of challenges, a lot of things to overcome. But what have been some of the wins? What are some things when you look back at the last 2 years and you're like, yeah, that's
Wins.
kind of sick.
um I think like that I'm still here and I'm still doing my thing. Like that's to be celebrated for sure. um Having my own showroom downtown, like I live downtown in Vancouver as well. It's not a cheap city at all. Like to maintain yourself here, it's that's got to be respected. I guess like yeah, just I'm slowly getting more brands in as well. Like I can just see it growing bigger and bigger, and like I get a lot of great feedback from like customers who love like what we stand for, and like yeah, so that really helps. Honestly, like the first 7 months were pretty tough because it's a new business. Like not many people know what's going on. You're selling all these kind of like high end brands, but like if they've not heard of your business, you haven't got too much brand awareness, so you haven't got too much customer kind of confidence. Sorry if I'm speaking quickly. I don't want to take so much time, but yeah. So like as businesses kind of like develop later and later, like it's things get better because it's like you've been around longer, you've got more brand awareness. So yeah, I celebrate that. I celebrate when I get a new brand. I
Mm.
celebrate, when a customer's like, "Yo, this is dope. Like, thanks, thanks for hooking me up." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Like that's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, you're not speaking quick at all, by the way. Everything sounds good, and it's the little wins along the way, but also kind of the bigger picture that you're still doing your own thing, you're still pushing yourself forward, and and going toward the future. So looking toward the future, I know you already kind of mentioned like it being a hub, it being a store where someone can come in, sit, grab a coffee. You continue to grow in the community. How do you look forward into the future? Do you think in terms of, oh, this is 5, 10 years? Do you think of um, the next year? Are you letting things go organically? How do you kind of plan to go forward?
Yeah, so I do set like goals, but like I have like little stepping stones that kind of carry me to the goal. Um, like for the foreseeable future, like I want to create like a hub where it's like a bit of a bistro and a cafe, as well as like all the kind of like gear. There are some business models as well like this that there's like a few cafes like Deus Cafe in Los Angeles. You've got Bike Shed in London. These are all kind of like places that sell kind of like the gear, but have like a place where everyone can meet up, have a beer or have a coffee and kind of like chop it up. So that's like down the line what I want to do. Um, it's just like another thing going back to business, like timing is everything. Like persistence and mindset is great, but like you got to make sure you time it right. You can't rush the process. Um, so that is all coming, and it's always in the back of the mind. But it's just we got to make sure we set up the business now so it can excel then as well.
And when you say timing, is that timing from where you want to be perspective, or is it timing from you looking at the market, understanding what's shifting, or is it just all of that together?
Yeah, another great question. Yeah, it's mainly like I mainly look at it as like timing for the business. Like you don't want to grow too quickly to where you can't like scale. But then you want to actually like make sure you grow. But like I think it's market as well. You got to make sure you're in the right area. You got to make sure there's people that actually ride motorcycles where you are. If you're in this business, but like yeah, so maybe more for the market and yeah, definitely for the business as well. You don't want to kind of jump the gun with that.
Makes sense. And I think I'm looking forward to what you're doing. You mentioned, I didn't even know it was, you said Deus. I've always called it Deuce.
Yeah,
Like Deus
so did
Ex
I
Machina.
before that. So
You
did
know
I.
that.
Brand rep told me, I was like, okay.
Yeah, but I can see that for you 100%. You can see all the pieces coming together. So, brother, I think we'll call it a day there. I can't wait to keep up with you, keep seeing how you evolve, how you grow, where it comes. I've got to get out to Vancouver. I keep saying it, but
Please, man.
it will happen. And for everyone else, I'll share all the links. Please go check out Motohut. Go check out everything Sorrell's doing. And I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Peace, everyone. Keep it easy.